Hello everybody, and welcome to this particular video, which is for Mercury Retrograde, which would have started today when I'm actually recording this video, the 13th of August. Mercury will be retrograding through until the 5th of September, when it will then station and turn back direct again, and it will recover the degrees that it's lost about the 19th of September. But I don't want to just talk about Mercury retrograde, because in a couple of weeks from now, a few days the other side of the eclipse, we also have Saturn turning back direct. We're likely already feeling Saturn's shift in its motion, right? Because Saturn, being a slow-moving planet, when it stations, you generally begin to feel that, way ahead of time. And generally on the other side of it, you start wishing it would really pick up speed, but Saturn takes a while to pick up some speed. And that's one thing you need to consider. So let's talk a little bit about retrograde planets, okay? Because people tend to always give retrograde planets, they just blanket approach, they go, ooh, that's bad, right? It's not like that. It's not like that. It basically just means that the planet is working more in a, well, you could also almost say reverse, but an easier way to understand it is it's more of an internalized process that's going on with that particular planet. So this is a very powerful eclipse cycle, and you will see a link in this video at some point that will take you to the video for the solar eclipse. But it's a very powerful eclipse cycle, and one where likely there is some sort of, well, for lack of a better way to put it, power struggle with somebody else in your life, right? There's a power struggle. But really, look in the mirror. Go ahead, go to the mirror. And sure, I take on board you may have to, kind of go into the bathroom to go to the mirror and things like that, and you may miss part of the video, but go to the mirror. Who are you really having a personality conflict with? Sure, I'll acknowledge on one level it's probably manifesting with another particular person. That's true. But really, it's something inside of you that you're not taking a look at. You see, Mercury is retrograding through Purva Nakshatra, and it will regress back into Magha Nakshatra along the way as it does so. So I think my question to you in association with this is, are you willing to peel off the layers and take a look? And take a look at how perhaps you don't really honor yourself, right? And if you're not honoring yourself, how can you expect somebody else to equally respect your own needs? You can't, because you're not giving yourself the level of self-respect that you ultimately deserve, right? So, during this particular solar eclipse, you may notice through the solar eclipse video that I did that, there's this energy of feeling, kind of like enough is enough. And there's a need to be cautious of, drawing lines in the sand and going, you know what, I've had enough. And then like having a point to prove and rebelling against something where, sure, maybe a certain degree of rebellion may be necessary in order to kind of, state that I'm not willing to accept this anymore. But you don't have to be, what are the words I want to use? Harsh, difficult. You just have to be firm. There's nothing you have to prove. All you have to do is just be. But the problem is, most likely in one particular regard or another, you've been blocking yourself from yourself, right? You haven't been respecting your own needs. That's why it's coming to a head right now. That's why it's rising to the surface. So these next few weeks, most especially between now and the 5th of September, are going to take you most likely on a deep internal journey. Now, once Mercury kind of shifts backwards in the sky a little bit, it's going to come back into close proximity with Rahu, and close proximity with Mars, and close proximity with Venus. What's going on with all that? Phew, boy. Well, number one, it's unrealistic desires that you might have in one particular area of your life. And sure, desires are natural, right? We need them. Otherwise, life is pretty damn boring, okay? But, sometimes we have these desires that are, conscious by nature. I want to do this, right? And then we have compulsive desires, right? Where it's something that we know that something may or may not be good for us, but if it's not good for us, we just kind of go ahead with it anyway. And when Rahu connects with Venus, it tends to create a connection between compulsive desires and conscious desires. So something that you want, you're not really feeling like you're able to kind of control yourself in waiting for it to happen. And so it can cause you to act out, right? In regards to that, connecting with it a little more deeply, when you have Rahu connecting to Mercury, well, the dark side of that can be that you begin to doubt that you're making the right decisions, begin to doubt that you're doing the right thing, begin to doubt that you're really doing things that are going to be harmonious for you, right? As all of this is going on, Venus will have been cycling through Pusha Nakshatra, in addition to then moving into Ashlesha Nakshatra. So it'll take you through a cycle of understanding and making decisions in your life, the restrictions you are willing to work through, pardon me, and the restrictions that you're not willing to kind of work with, right? What restrictions are you able to accept in your life? Which ones do you not want to accept in your life? What are you willing to make a sacrifice for? What are you unwilling to make a sacrifice for? All of those things are likely going to come to the surface. And once they have done that, then you're going to kind of go on a deep level of exploration within yourself, right? And when that happens, there may be a certain level of self-doubt that happens as you begin to doubt yourself, because Rahu's also connecting with Mars. You may find yourself kind of getting in power struggles with other individuals. Be cautious of playing the blame game, because really it may not quite so much be the other person in this regard. And also be careful of playing the blame game with yourself, because really, in reality, you're going through a transformational process of learning how you can be your own best friend rather than your own worst enemy in a particular area of your life. And when that happens and you finally have had your eureka moment, basically what's going to happen is you'll make a decision that, right, this is where I've been wrong in the past. And you may feel like an idiot when that happens. Sure, give yourself permission to feel like an idiot. I give myself permission to feel like an idiot every day, right? And I actually enjoy feeling like an idiot. There's nothing wrong with it, right? So give yourself permission to feel like that. But once you've recognized that you have done something that perhaps wasn't the best, kind of look at that and go, well, you know what? That was just where I was at. I don't need to dwell on it. I don't need to stick with it. I just need to realize what I need to do. And what I need to do now is to just move on from things. But whatever you do, don't hide from any pain that may surface in association with this. Experience it. Because with so many planets transiting through Magha Nakshatra, and there will be Rahu at that point, there will be Mercury at that point, and there will be Venus inching into that area of the sky too. With all those planets in Magha Nakshatra, Magha has a tendency to ignore the things that are difficult in order to just get on with things, right? But pay attention to those things that are difficult. They carry an important message to you. It's the universe's way of speaking to you and going, right, I'm trying to give you a message that something isn't right. And you might as well listen before I have to shout with you, right? So this is a transformational process that takes place between now, the 13th of August, and the 5th of September. Things will begin to shift forward in a much more positive manner in regards to the self-work that you've done, probably around the 19th of September. Now, we have to talk about Saturn's direct motion, which is going to be taking place on the 25th of August, a few days the other side of the solar eclipse. When a planet has been retrograde, and then it turns direct, all the self-work, the internalization of what that planet represents, the individual then has the potential of laying the groundwork for progress in regards to whatever they have worked through. So with Saturn, Saturn's process is one of crystallization. it brings resistance into our life so that we can recognize perhaps that our viewpoint of something has been a little bit narrow. And it also brings some obstruction into our life, because it helps us to recognize that certain things, certain people, whatever it might be, whatever Saturn rules in our chart, don't really fit in our life anymore, and we need to move on from those things, right? So when Saturn has been retrograde, we've gone through a crystallization process with whatever Saturn is representing in our chart. Say, for instance, if Saturn rules the second and third, well, it can be the way in which you apply yourself towards earning wealth in your life, right? And you go through a crystallization process in regards to, what works and what doesn't work. Then when Saturn begins to shift forward into its forward direction, then you begin to have the discipline. If you've done good work with Saturn, you begin to have the discipline of the groundwork that you need to do in order to have more progress in those particular areas. So all of this tying into the eclipse is saying, sure, where you may feel that there's difficulty that you're having with another individual, instead, rather than blaming them, be willing to explore yourself. Rather than blaming yourself, be willing to take a look at what you might need to change, what has not been productive for you, and be willing to take the positive steps to shift forward in that regard. And that's going to tie in with whatever Mercury is ruling in your chart, whatever Mars is ruling in your chart, and whatever Venus is ruling in your chart, and whatever Saturn is ruling into your charts. That's a lot of stuff. Okay, and I can't tell you what that is for you specifically unless I do a consultation with you. So if you would like to schedule an astrological consultation, there is a link up above in the video. But if you know a little bit of astrology and you're savvy, look at what those areas represent in your chart and look at how you can do better with those particular areas of your life. That's going to do it for this pre-eclipse video that takes a look at Mercury's retrograde period and Saturn's shift forward, which is going to take place on the 25th of August in regards to Saturn, 4 days the other side of the solar eclipse. Mercury's already retrograde. It will go back direct on the 5th of September and will recover its shadow degree on the 19th of September. That's going to do it for this video. Until next time, please take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.